Welcome back to Music Theory Logic. Andrew here, and today is a music theory breakdown. I haven't done these in quite a while, but today we are looking at an original track actually from yours truly. It's out everywhere you hear music. It is called Reveled in the Sins. It's featuring Pip Lewis, and it is by me under my artist alias D.R.U. Let's go ahead into the Logic file. So in the interest of being easy on my computer, I'm gonna try to do this pretty quickly. It's just there's a lot of stuff going on, and so much so that I didn't really do my final mix in this session. I actually bounced stems, but I wanted to look at the instruments and the MIDI and all of that. So if you find these helpful, you would help me out a lot by subscribing to the channel. Without further ado, here is the track, and I will get it through the first drop, at which point we've heard all of the different parts of the song, and then I'll go through the notes we hear and some individual layers. So here it is.
It's a dangerous game, thinking you can do no wrong. You're the angel of blame, and I just play along. I'm letting time seep away, idolizing you for so long. But I've got nothing to say, your gravity is too strong. God woke up in a cold, cold sweat, 'cause no one clued him in. But honey, I have no regrets, it's you I'm worshipping. We both got up 'cause we loved too hard, and he didn't expect it. Prayed to you and gave my heart, and you reveled in the sin.
There we go, system overload. So computer is working hard. I encourage you to go check out the full original. I will link to it below, or if you search Reveled in the Sins, pretty unique title, you'll find that everywhere from Instagram to Amazon to iTunes to Spotify to Deezer to YouTube, wherever you find music. So let's make these notes a little bit simpler for you. This song is in the key of D minor. D minor is a pretty simple key. It only has one accidental or one black key. That black key is B flat. So the notes are D, E, F, G, A, B flat, C, and D. Sounds like this. Cool. And I have a lot of different instrumental layers to this track, but fundamentally this chord progression is consistent throughout our verse and our buildup, and it is going from a D minor chord here to a C major chord, a 7 chord, to a, essentially, if we ignore this C note, it's a G minor chord. With that C note, it makes it like a G sus4 at first. That gives it kind of a cool layer to it. All right, so layering. I have a bunch of pads going on. When I originally did the track for Pip, she sent me back vocals that she wrote and recorded herself to a very beginner or not developed track idea that I had sent her. And when she sent it back, there were so many beautiful harmonies. She really set the vibe for the track. So I wanted to like make it feel a lot more ethereal, make it really like big in a texture. And I also wanted to play on this idea of it being somewhat of a singer-songwriter meets this future bass style. So you're hearing guitar. It is live guitar that I recorded myself. That gives me some of the separation between sections since I have the same chord progression. So I get that 8th note guitar sound in the breakdown. I get kind of the full chords and some melodic, some arpeggios happening on the guitar. All right, if we go into the drop section, I had already done a breakout video talking about how I built this main bass sound and how I then built or worked on the vocal chop, which are these pink layers right here. Now, the harmonic progression is doing the same thing, although we're not hearing as many pad layers. So it focuses on the bass there. Rhythmically, at this drop, we are in half time, so this track is at 140 beats per minute, I believe. Yeah, 140. So we're hitting the snare on every beat 3. All right. Then it's basically going kick, snare, kick, snare, kick, snare. We're getting some hi-hats on the beat 2 and beat 4. And then finally, like a crash on beat 1. Very, very straightforward, simple drums. A lot of times, if you listen to some of my former work, I did a lot more syncopation and movement in the drums. But in this style of music, sometimes simpler stuff hits harder. And I'm really proud of how the mix of this came out. So again, you would help me out a lot by not only subscribing to the channel, but going and listening to this track and perhaps putting in a playlist or showing friends. It is 100% independent. So Pip and I rely on you, the human beings of the world that listen to music, to share it. And we know it'll be slower, but we prefer more organic promo than anything else. Despite I do have some reposts going on my SoundCloud, so for those somebody that sees that. So sound design wise, in that big breakdown section, the drums go away. I start filtering in the sort of verse drums that I had going before. I have an impact happening at the beginning of each chord sequence, so at the beginning of each 4 measures. I have some build percussion and an uplifter, another word for a sound that sort of exaggerated longer reverse, that kind of sound, which is really helpful in this kind of music at the end of sections or when some big change is coming. All right. Let's see, any specific things that I want to shout out. I used a lot of Isotope Iris 2 on this. That's kind of like the atmospheric pads that you're hearing. I think that is a really beautiful VST for doing this kind of work. It looks like I'm using some Codex by Waves. It's kind of an obscure older one I haven't used in a while. Vocode Trem, High Pluck Trem. So really this is just a lot of interesting sort of layers that are happening. Now, I have this pluck that I built in Serum that is a really simple sound. It's going on like steady 8th notes with the same chord progression with slightly varied, not varied voicing, but varying like attack of where the notes are. That happens like right when she starts singing, and that gives the track some movement. Then that 8th note picks up on the guitars in the next section. Let's see, anything else that I should mention? Vocoding the hook. So one thing that I do a lot in my music, whether I'm working on like a pop vocal or I'm working on a track like this, I'm using Razor from Native Instruments, which is a really cool vocoder, to basically vocode from the vocal chain. I then have the main chord progression from the song there, and that helps to basically give it space or give it more depth to it. So in the interest of not frying my CPU entirely, stay tuned. I have a secondary computer, and I'm going to start filming these videos and doing a lot of my live streaming stuff, which I did for a while, and I'm going to get back into that. But with this kind of stuff going on, like I am really, really pushing the computer for what it can do, and I encourage you to like bounce to audio and be easier on your systems. Like I said, I got this track to this point. I then printed stems. I did my mix in another session. I then bounced that as an unmastered track for mastering, and then I did my mastering in another session. So building electronic music, since we're using computers, is a lot about the sort of computer management. But once again, in the key of D minor has the same notes as F major. It's relative major, has 1 flat, it's B flat. I do a lot of big textures, but that's more about the sound selection, the chord voicings, like so where the notes are. But really there's not a lot of crazy chord stuff happening in this song. I hope you really enjoy it. Let me know in the comments what you think of the track. If you didn't like it, that's okay. Music is really a personal thing, and I did a breakdown on this, or I've talked about this before, but like if you ask your friends their favorite music, it may be the same as yours. It may be very different. If you take your favorite artist, this is a really fun thing to do. If you like modern music and dance music, let's say you're a fan like I am of Skrillex, and you play, say, a Skrillex track for your mom. It's hilarious because you'll see her like be like, what is this? People like this? Like, once again, if you don't like it, it's all good. Once again, this artist name and part of one of my faces is a D.R.U, Dream Reach Unite. Also Drew, if you want to say it, short for my name, Andrew, but a play on words as well. Go check out Pip Lewis's music as well. Her stuff is super cool. And I will see you next time. Thank you for hanging out.